Powered by Virginia Radio.
Yo. Good evening, everyone. Happy Wednesday to you all. I hope today has met you well. I hope everything in life is going right. And even if it's not, we are embracing the newness. I hope that you have, in this newness, in this first episode of of the new beginnings, I hope that you have just come to the completeness of being complete in all the healing, all the growing as far as past the healing and past the pain, understanding purpose, or closer to some type of understanding of forward movement is really important. This is not just a cliche topic that is new beginnings. I am telling you this, and I'm reaffirming this to you because this is what it is. Whether we acknowledge it, whether you understand it, whether you really embrace it or not, it is here. So I just want to spread it so that we will all find better ways and mechanisms in coping and adjusting and transitioning into the new, because it is new, it's different. So, good night. Yo, TSPILLS. It's a good night, it's a good day, it's a good evening. TSPILLS, the podcast with our very, very special guest.
Yes.
Mrs. Mylira Green. You know I messed it up. So I love you. Hold on. Thank you, baby.
You're welcome, honey.
So super dope.
No problem. Well, I'm just honored to be here, number one. Because when people seek their vision, sometimes they don't know how to execute. So to see you execute it, and then also this being the first episode of the next, that means that the first was good. So I want you to take time to pat yourself on the back, because newness only comes when something old was there, and that old may not always be bad. So I just wanted to say thank you. For being up here tonight.
Yep. Thank you so much for accepting my invitation. You are super dope. I really love all that you're doing. I love your newness, your forward movement. Even though I didn't really know your old, when I met you, you were already awesome. So I don't know from which you have came really. However, just seeing where you are with the passion that you have, I know it had to come from a place. So just understanding that, like the same that you said for me, reflects back right on you. Pat yourself on the back for your newness as well.
Thanks, Queen. Thank you.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, when we talk about newness, I always think about the fact that people are afraid to pivot. Like, that's the word for the season for me, is pivoting. Because just because you have to do something different, or that thing that you sought, you now got to go and try something else, it don't mean that you've actually failed, or it doesn't mean that you are a failure. Mm-hmm. It just means that this space right now don't have room.
Come on.
There's something else that you need to be doing. Mm-hmm. So for me, in my own personal journey, I had to learn that life wasn't happening to me, but it was happening for me.
Come on.
So when life was starting to happen, and every season came something new, but that something new can only really flourish when the old dirt is there. Like a lot of different things that harvest, you need manure, right? Mm-hmm. We don't want that on our hands, but in order for something to grow out of it, it got to grow out of the
shit.
Yes.
That's what she want to say, y'all.
So, being able to really embrace that and understand that has allowed for me to help people to embrace their newness and not be afraid to say, I don't like how this feels. Mm-hmm. I don't like what this looks like. Because a lot of people don't realize grief is not just when someone dies. Mm-hmm. Grief is anything that's a loss or anything that's a transition. So if you are finding yourself in the midst of a transition, whether that is a new level, a new relationship, a new mindset, it comes with sadness even when great is happening. So some people wonder, I finally reached my goals, my dreams, my aspirations, but why do I still feel sad? It's because you got used to your old life, and you got to be able to embrace that you're in a different place so you can start doing something different.
Most definitely. Okay, come on. I love that. I love all of that. And she's right. Because if you look at it, a example for that would be women when they have birth. Birth is such a beautiful thing, but a lot of women have postpartum. Why? Because of the emotions, the transition, the hormones, and all that comes with it. So yeah, that's just real dope. So when we talk about newness now, I'm a definition type person sometimes. So new, not existing before, made, introduced, or discovered recently, or now for the first time. Also, it's an adverb, can be already existing, like she was saying, but seen, experienced, or acquired recently, or now for the first time. So, with dissecting that, like all the things that existed in you before, all the trials and tribulations, the good, the bad, all was necessary to yield what you are right now at this day, to go to the newness, to embrace the newness. That was all necessary. Because, like you said, if we only had good, we wouldn't. What kind of people would we be, really? If we only got everything that we wanted, what kind of people would we really be? Would we really have good hearts? Would we be compassionate? Would we be empathetic? Would we be sympathetic? Would we be caring? Like, would we be nice? Would we be mean? Like, what would we be? So sometimes the very thing that is like our disaster or our devastation is the thing that, like you said, flourishes us and grows us and pushes us and propels us to the next level. And actually, most of the times puts us right in place where we need to be to receive all of that.
Yeah. I like to say, your pain becomes your purpose. A lot of people that meet me now, you just see this girl who's on everybody's flyer, or this person who's always speaking or encouraging or empowering people. So then they don't see that was birthed out of pain. And the reality is, this woman that you see is coming to you with experience. So not just my expertise as a therapist, but I'm a whole therapist because I need one. So being able to, again, use my transparency so people can understand, don't be envious of me because you have no idea what it took to get to this point. So when I'm talking, you're hearing the 3-year-old that was sexually assaulted. Like, when I'm talking, you're hearing this girl that dealt with her sexuality. When I'm talking, you're hearing someone who was sexually assaulted again. Like, you're hearing this place, someone who was suicidal, who was depressed, who dealt with PTSD, but yet I'm still helping people. So when I talk about newness, I let people understand it does not necessarily get rid of those things that has happened to me. So I'm not going to be ashamed of those things because I can't go back and change it. But what I can do is, with my life right now, I can be a gift and a present to other people so they don't have to experience what I did. And I think that's sometimes the place that people are trying to get to, where their pain don't keep them stagnant, but they don't know how to do that. Hence why a lot of the things that I do is wrapped around how to make your pain and turn it into purpose, like literally how to become a butterfly. Because people don't realize that we always talk about the caterpillar and we always talk about the butterfly, but we never talk about the cocoon. And the cocoon is necessary because that is what creates the wings. But if anybody knows, the cocoon is also the most uncomfortable part of the metamorphosis experience because there's so much pressure going on. So there's this parable that talks about this runner. She ran every single day. And one day she saw this, butterfly struggling in a cocoon. And she was like, man, Mr. Butterfly, if you're still there tomorrow, I'm going to come back and I'm going to help you. So she go on her run, she come back. Mr. Butterfly's still there, right? So she decides to open up his cocoon. All right, Mr. Butterfly, I'll see you tomorrow. Come back. Mr. Butterfly is sitting on the ground. She's like, why are you on the ground? He said, because you opened up my cocoon prematurely.
Come on.
I cannot fly. So there's some of us right now that's trying to get out of that cocoon moment when we're supposed to be uncomfortable. We're supposed to be stretched. We're supposed to be dealing with things. But the beauty of it is, I don't have to open up your cocoon. I can just tell you, baby, hold on a little bit. So we're taking it where instead of us saying, hold on a little bit, we're now ripping people cocoons open and we're re-traumatizing people over and over and over again because we have this message of, as soon as you decide to heal, you're going to be healed. That's not true.
And there's levels to healing anyway.
Absolutely.
Because and that's so funny. That was my topic, one of my topics last week. Healing was the topic last week, healing. And depending on the severity of the injury and how long the injury has been there, and what type of injury it is, depends on how long it's going to take. So to heal, right? And so, and there's different kinds of injuries as well. I forgot all of the definitions for them, but in the way it goes in the synopsis of it is that, if going back to what you said, if you open it too early, then you're gonna have to go and get what they call the trietary, if I'm saying it right, or tritary. I need to be looking at it.
It's okay.
Trietary one, which is the third one. Y'all, that is the animal. Well, it's the third one. And if you have to get the third one, then like it's like you're gonna end up having to do what you were supposed to get done in the first and second step because you took it off too early, or if you just let it sit there without treating it at all, right? So I said that to say, when you talk about being stretched, right? Sometimes we bust our own wounds open because we try to stretch, or we try to run from the stretch. Either we try to overstretch ourselves, or we run from the stretch instead of letting it organically just be stretched the way it's supposed to. We don't let the flow of life happen. Sometimes we try to control so much of it. It's certain portions of life we can control, and there's other portions of life that are out of our control. It's just how we respond, how we react, how we cope, how we deal.
So here's the crazy part. I tell people all the time, like, for real, you shouldn't want to be in control of your life because your story is already written. So a lot of the times the things that we try to do is contradictory to what we should be doing. So I tell people, Toni Jones, she's an affirmation artist. She says we're human beings and not human doers. And it's so much of us doing. So it's like we want to talk about healing, so then you get all these steps you're supposed to do. If you come to a coaching program, I need you to do this strategy. But everything is not a cookie cutter or a shoe. So like when I do any of my services, I'm tapping into you. I'm prayed up. Like anything that I give you is not for me. And there's a lot of times where people are struggling because they do want to get to the other side, but they don't know how to get there. Facts. And I think that is where we need to start talking about, because again, like you said, healing is a journey, but everybody's journey going to be different. And just because two people experience the same things, same time, it don't mean that their healing journey is going to look the same. But what it is when you choose to realize that you're enough, that lens shifts for you. Because then I know, like, I can do something different. I don't have to keep being in this place. I just was talking to somebody today. I said the difference between anxiety and depression is what you do with it and your outlook and the questions that you're asking. Depression says woulda, coulda, shoulda. What I woulda did, what I coulda did, what I shoulda did. And that's playing through my brain. I'm thinking about every single thing that's ever happened to me, what I shoulda did different, what I coulda did different, who should have been there, what's going on. And then anxiety says, what if? What if this thing actually do happen? What if they do, deny me? What if they do judge me? What if they don't like what I do? What if I get in that car accident? So now you have these two pieces that's in your mind. I'm asking all these questions, so now you're stealing yourself from the gift of the present.
Come on.
So I always tell people, in order to be new, it got to start with a pause. You got to shut up. Like a lot of the times we sit down, and trust me, I'm the vision queen, guru. I do all these personal development plans, things like that. But I've learned before we can even get there, you got to be quiet and you got to sit. Because sometimes what ends up happening is when you don't really allow yourself to sit with the trauma and feel the feels of it and really be like, look, this is really what happened to me. When you make those vision boards, you making the vision boards in contradictory, because now I'm putting up there what I don't want to happen. So because I don't want this trauma to happen, I don't want to put this person up here I'm going to marry. I'm going to put my favorite role model. I don't want to put apartment. I'm going to put this big old house. But it's in trauma. It's not really in what you desire.
Come on.
But if I sit and I'm with my stuff,
you won't operate out
then I can operate more in the vision that I have, because everybody don't need to be a millionaire. Everybody ain't going to be poor. But you need to know what it is that you're trying to live, and you can't do that if you don't sit and be silent. And that don't mean doing it by yourself. It just means taking a moment to realize, before I plan out anything, there's some stuff that I got to deal with myself. I can't be ashamed of my story. I tell people you got to get in bed with your story to actually conceive your purpose.
Come on.
And it's not an intimate relationship. This is a one-night stand. You getting naked, boom, I'm going to bang with my story. It's going to hurt. I ain't going to like you. I ain't going to want to call you back. But I'm going to do it anyway so I can figure out what it is, and we go for it. Yep. People don't do that.
Yeah. They don't. Because a lot of people don't like to be accountable. And then a lot of people don't like to sit in the truth because the truth hurts. And see, I like when you said that, I like everything you were saying, but I like when you said, about being still. My past have been preaching that like a while, like being still, like how to be still, because sometimes we get so excited, like you said, when we feel like we have healed or we have come to a level or evolved to a different level or a new thing, right? And we get so excited about it. Instead of just being still and calm and have peace with it, we get overly excited, and normally what that causes is a premature step. Because you're so excited that you just moving and you're just full of energy, right? But it's not tamed energy, it's not controlled energy, it's just sporadic energy. So you're gonna make a sporadic move, and it's gonna kind of contradict all that progress you have gotten so far. I am a witness of that. So I'm speaking of that from experience, not of outside knowing. And you have to really be still, because when you are still, you're able to, like you said, feel all of that. And then you're able to appreciate what you're about to step into. Because if you don't be still, you're just going to run into that thing. And then you'll be ill prepared for the thing that you're running to, which is the thing that you want the most. So why not? You done waited this long. Why not just wait just a few more minutes, seconds, days, hours, weeks, months, whatever. If so, for some people it may even be a year or two for certain things, but why not just wait? You done waited this long. It don't feel like it used to feel. So wait in the peace, wait in the calm, wait in the I don't know.
Well, people gotta understand what peace really is. Like, I always I'm a very visual person, so everything in my brain is a story. But I tell people, like, peace is in the eye of the storm. So if you ever know of a hurricane, right, it don't change the storm is happening on the outside. It don't change the turmoil. It don't change your past. It don't change the family members you don't bang with. It don't change the broken relationships. It don't change none of that. All that is still going on around you. But when you want peace, you got to be still in the center of the storm, where there is no rain, there is no wind, there is no thunder, there is no lightning. But so many people is afraid because ain't nobody over there. I'd rather stay right here because at least right here, I can tell you about how I feel. I can tell you how you got on my nerves. I can act out. I can do the things I've always done.
Come on.
But peace is new. So that means I have to step into a different space.
Come on.
But it's kind of like having like a prison. Like if I know that this storm, at least every time I walk out the house, I'm going to get wet. I'd rather have that than I'm going to try to go to this eye of the storm and there is no definite that the rain ain't gonna be there. So I'd rather deal with the rain, even though you tell me it's sunshine. I don't care about that. I'd rather deal with the rain because I'm comfortable there. So when we're talking about newness, first off, we gotta stop putting labels on stuff, number one. And people need to learn how to live. Les Brown says that most people die at age 30. They just don't get buried until they're 70. So what ends up happening is we're always chasing new. So new is not a new concept. Living is a new concept. Because we really don't know how to stop. Like when you were talking and you were saying how people are going to run if you don't be still, I kind of thought of if something new happens, right, and you don't take the moment to just sit and be, you're going to bring those same habits that made old not work into new. And then for believers, we like to say, well, God, you ain't do X, Y, and Z. Or this not what I prayed for. This not what I asked for. But it's because God is saying you never took the time out to just sit and be thankful for the thing I already brought you out of.
Come on, talk about it.
So when we have new, it's like, oh, well, I asked for an Audi, but you gave me a Honda. And God is trying to say, well, that Audi was a limit, and this Honda Accord is a new 2025 that don't nobody else got, bells and whistles, but you're trying to get a name. So, like, we have to be mindful of the new that we're seeking. Are we seeking a new that the world says this is what you're supposed to have? Or are we seeking a new that this is my purpose? This is where I'm supposed to be flowing. This is what I was born to do. When you flow in your purpose, the money gonna come. Like, money's like a bird. If you go out there in your house and there's a bird outside and you go towards it, it's gonna fly away. But if you sit at the door and watch that bird, it's one bird, two birds, three birds. That's how money is. But we think newness, we think being successful, we think all these things is attached to money, but it's not.
Oh, no, it's not.
attached to purpose.
Yeah, it's attached to purpose and person. Because what's success for you is not going to be success for me. What suits you and makes you comfortable or feel like, or what it even looks like is going to be different. My desires in my heart are different from yours. So if people understand, like you said, just live and not exist, live in your truth of what you want. I say this a lot of times up here too, about do you really want that thing? And then maybe you didn't get that thing because your mind, like you said, it could be because he was sparing you, and it also could be because you're not ready for that very thing that you want. He know that you're not going to be able to afford that $500 payment, so he gave you a $300 payment, because that extra two you were going to need somewhere else. Because like you said, again, our story is written. We can't bring the old wine skin to put the new wine in the old wine skin, you know, because it's going to rub. It's not going to be able to hold it. It's going to taint it, the residue. But sometimes, like you said, some residues are going to be a little long lasting. It takes a lot of washes to get out. You know, it does. Some of them takes a lot of washes to get out. And we're understanding that. That's why renewal of ourselves is daily. That's why we have to renew our minds and our hearts and our spirits and seek that daily. That's why we have to, when it gets tough and when it gets scary, because new is tough and it's scary because it's new.
Yes,
it's foreign. It's you never seen it before. And when I say new, I'm not being like, again, like on the cliche of newness, more so on just the numerical logistics of it. 8 is the month of new. And this whole year, I've not even been a number person, but this whole year I've been pushed to numbers, and numbers have really been that thing. Shout out to Katie the Equation. Have really been my thing. And I'm saying that because the 8, right? This is the time, I think we talked about this before. This is an awakening for a spiritual awakening for everybody. This has been for a little while now. It's not just something new that just happened. And the reason why I think the new beginning is so significant in this sense is because a lot of us people, and I know I ain't just speaking out myself, have been going through our own trials, tribulations, shifting, transformations, hardships, because we all, like you said, we've been in that cocoon, trying to get all those things, because a lot of people were still dealing with the little boy and the little girl, and that they never really dealt with, that they just kind of suppressed. Some people lost recollection of it, and it's now coming back to their mind, because now is the time, because the newness is about just the inner first, really not the outer. It really is all about the inner, the new mindset, the new spirit, the new outlook, the new perspective on things. You know what I'm saying? Because when you do have a new perspective, you're able to see that Honda as a blessing and not a curse. Yep. You know, because you, like you said, it's not based on tangibleness or other people's perspective or outside views of what you should have. Because you should never base your life off of that. Because, like you said, that was what you said, envy. Don't envy a person for where you see them at. Because, like she said, you never know the walk. The walk be real. And you be wanting stuff. I told y'all about the relationships, all that stuff, relationships, houses, cars. You don't know what people have to do to get the stuff they got. We were just talking about this earlier. A lot of famous people, very rich, very famous, very, you know, they doing good, they successful. But a lot of them don't look happy at all. See, again, success is the definition of what it is. Because once you have to compromise, and I'm not putting this out for everybody, but once you have to compromise your integrity, once you have to compromise so much of yourself and you're not able to move on your own self, that's not a happy life. And some people had to give away those things to have the things that they have. And some things money just can't buy. And happiness is one of them. Money is the tool. I'm going to say it again, y'all. Money is the tool, not the object. You just need the money to work the life. But life still going to exist whether you got money or not, because we about to not have money anyway. So what y'all going to do then? Because we about to not have money. It's about to be a paperless currency. We about to have a chip or something, they about to say. I know. No, but I'm talking about they about to put up. I know, right? But they about to implant them in everybody. Damn. Everybody, yeah. And that's what we about to be doing. But saying all that should change people's perspective of what they really was chasing at first, the money. Yeah, we all need it. And with more of it, a lot of us could do better. But Biggie said it best, more money, more problems. Are you built for what you asking? Because some things, some fame have and riches and successes have drawn people crazy.
Yeah, I would say, like, because that is the population I want to get into. I always tell people, you know, I want to stop the Miss USA from jumping off the building before she do it, or the Robin Williams that was just making everybody laugh and the next day you gone, or the Jim Carrey that has been vocal with his struggles every now and again. Like, he'll say, like, hey, this is what I'm struggling with. But not even just celebrities, it's people in general. Like, my specialty is working with people with suicidal ideations.
Okay.
And people ask me all the time, like, how do you get there? And I say, it's not an overnight thing. It's a thing that gradually happens. You have this one thing that make you feel like, dang, am I not good enough? Then the next thing happened. Dang, am I not good enough? And now my family don't think I'm good enough. Dang, okay, I'm not good enough. My family don't think I'm good enough. Now my school don't think I'm good enough. Like, it's a pile on of things, and it don't matter what's going on around you. So what I will say, if you can shift your perspective, you can literally change your life. So if we're going to talk about newness, it got to be a newness of your mind.
Yep. Come on.
Like, that is the thing that needs to shift and change, and you have to understand it's going to take time to do that. So when I do tell people about my therapy or my healing sessions or my coaching and things like that, I tell people I do that not because I'm the expert in who you are, you know you, but I want to be able to allow for you to dump out what's in your mind so we can shift it and reprogram it and reword it. Like, even something as small as when you were talking about the Biggie songs, it makes me cringe because it's like a lot of these songs, that's what we're hearing, and it's feeding us these things. But who to say money is going to bring you more problems? Like, true. Is that really going to be my reality? So it's being able to be really in control and intentional with the wording and the language that you provide when you're new. And when you're talking about the number 8, so me and the King renewed our vows for our 8-year anniversary specifically for that, because we could have easily waited to year 10. But what we realize is when newness happens, other things seem to fall apart. You can't build a new building or a new house on the same old foundation.
Come on.
So it has to crumble down. It has to fall. So while we're preparing for our vow renewal, I had a little awakening. I'm like, look, I ain't had my whole phase, and my husband, shout out to him, he know the story, so it don't matter. But I was like, look, we got married early. I didn't really live my life. I sat here, I got a master's, I got a job, we got a family. I never had a moment to just be Mylira and experience life. So now I am 160 pounds. I gained some now, but 160 pounds, and people started to see me. And I'm like, dang, why all these people seeing me? It's been like 7 years. Like, why now? Why y'all didn't see me before that? Like, why you seeing me now? And I had to realize that it was showing me the me that I've always wanted to be. Like, I literally had to learn the parts of me that needed to break. The parts of me that I didn't even know existed. And sometimes we get afraid when those things happen. And I even looked at my husband and I told him what I was experiencing. I was like, look, what I'm about to tell you may hurt your feelings, but I need right now best friend, not husband. Because I need you to understand I'm not trying to hurt you. I'm not going nowhere, but I need you to hear what I'm experiencing, because for me to get to my new, I got to deal with my old shit. Like, I literally got to sit down and be like, what is it that I feel like I'm missing? What's my voids? So in order for you to even get to the new phase, you got to deal with what you think you're missing, because sometimes we're filling the wrong voids and not trying to live. We're trying to feel something. We're trying to feel my parent won't there. We're trying to feel I was sexually assaulted. We're trying to feel I wasn't protected. We're trying to feel I'm black and I don't know my identity. We're trying to feel, hey, I'm a part of this certain community, but I don't know where to go. Like, we're trying to feel all these different spaces when that is not living. So when we're going into newness, we got to be honest.
Come on.
With why new even need to exist.
Because that old stuff had to die off. That old stuff was required to die off to go to the next level. I refuse to take it with me. That little girl had to go to sleep. She had to. She had to be put to rest. That's my answer for it. I mean, that's just my personal answer. And, like, I got to be prepared to go to the next level. Because I know, because I understand the pain that I had to go through for this purpose. And I understand some of my purpose. I don't truly understand my whole purpose, but I get it enough to know that there is purpose and that there's something that I have to do, because there are lives attached to my purpose. So regardless of how I feel, what Tiara may be going through, I got to still get up every day and shake and bake, but I want the newness, because I don't want to operate out of my hurt, out of my voids, out of my lack, out of my pain. I want to operate out of the truth, the absolute truth. Not my perspective, not my bias. I mean, well, it's going to kind of be from my perspective. You can't really change that sometimes. But not my bias. You see what I'm saying? Like, even though I've never really been a person to operate like that, but it doesn't matter, because if you're not here, you do operate like that at some point, in some way. Ain't no way to name it. You do. You're going to spill on somebody at some point. And I just don't want to do that. So for me, the newness, that was the need for the newness, to let all that oldness die. That oldness had to come off. And it's still I'm currently learning. That's my whole thing right here. I like somebody named that on Facebook. They're currently learning. I love that, because I am definitely currently learning a lot of things about me. See, this is the time for me. This is the newness. This newness of me picking me first for once. Even though I still ain't really doing it. But I'm trying. It's new.
Well, people got to understand that life is a mirror. So if you don't take the time out to get to know you, life is going to mirror the you that you don't really know, or the you that you don't want to accept, or the you that you're running away from. So you're like, yo, why do I keep attracting the same people in my life? It's because you're attracting you. You're attracting the pieces of you that you are not willing to get rid of, because if I have that, then I have someone to blame. If I have that, then I have a situation to blame. If I have that, then I have something else outside of me to hold accountable, and not myself. So when it comes to newness and changing, like, you really got to sit with you. And that's why I created the Metamorphosis experience, where I literally walk people through 6 weeks of doing that. Like, really going in, like, okay, well, the truth is you're the only you there is. And once you know that, you got to understand that there's differences that you was created with for a reason, not the differences that you think you have because the world says these are your great attributes or your characteristics, but the you that you truly are. And then now we need to talk about your strengths. How we're going to literally make sure that your differences is what you're flowing in, and not world standards. Because then after that, it allows for me to understand my weaknesses. So then I know that that's the reinforcer of my relationships. Not in the sense that I am weak, but in the sense of you cover my weaknesses with your strengths, and I cover your weaknesses with my strengths. Now there's a reason why we should have a relationship or a friendship or a community or a connectedness, because we both got room at the table. Like, it's a different mindset. So that's what I try to do with people. And I tell people all the time, like, I don't have all the answers. The only thing I can do is glean from my expertise and my experiences. But one thing God has blessed me with is just being able to understand people. And I want to normalize for people, like, shit happens, and trauma is not just someone who went to a military or someone who, you know, got sexually assaulted. Like, trauma can be anything. And I love to use this example, not that it's a good example, but I tell people, you know, imagine that kid that went to school that day and they didn't like the breakfast and they didn't like the lunch, but they knew mama was making dinner. But mama had a boyfriend at the house. So mommy made sure that boyfriend ate everything he wanted to eat, but this child came home hungry. That's trauma. But people don't see that. So when we stop putting these broad things or generalizing different circumstances, I think that will start people being able to realize that they need to have new. Like, I don't know I need new if I don't see something needs to be changed.
Come on, talk about it.
So when we actually start having these conversations about, you know, just addressing your past, addressing your story, addressing your journey. And again, it goes back to when people see me, you don't see where I've been. Like, even visually, if you meet me now, people don't believe I was 319 pounds because you don't know that side. But this here is also new too. So that's another piece as well. Like, new is always happening. So like, when you can understand that the you that you're bringing to the table right now in this moment is a newer version than what you used to be, you can have a space of gratitude. So even if you are in a space of healing or you are in a space of transition and transformation, I still can be grateful because I'm not even close to where I used to be. Even though I still feel like I have a long way to go, I'm not who I was.
Yeah, and celebrate that. And celebrate that. Because that took work. That was you. You did it. Like, and I want to say this too about challenges. Sometimes if we looked at challenges a little bit different, it would help us transition better into newness. Because it go back to something we said, just reiterating in a different way. Challenges is what brings about the character, the integrity, the things. It shows us our strengths, our weaknesses. I used when I was in a abusive relationship as an example, right? In that relationship, it showed me a lot about me. And like you said, you wouldn't know that. Like, you wouldn't know the scars. I don't have the scars. I thank God that I don't have the visible scars of what took place. But it's something about how you learn so much in that place and how it pushes you to your next. Like, that relationship only lasted 8 months, thank God. And out of all the people that I further come to realize that he had dealt with, I don't have the scars. They have the bullet wounds. They have the whatever. They have that. So in that, I was covered. I was covered because of the length of the relationship. Thank God for that. That was covering. I was covered again because when I had to be faced with living in a bad new, but a new, that shifted everything about me. It showed me how hard I go for my kids. It showed me how less I went for myself. It showed me how stronger in a lot of areas I were and how much weaker in a lot of areas I were for even finding ways to rationalize that. That's why when you talk about like mental health, or you talk about like traumas, or you talk about like letting things go and processing and healing, at times I feel healed and at times I don't. So I go back and forth. It's not something that really bothers me, but when I speak about it, I always get a little emotional because for me, it was the showing of. But I said all that to say that relationship, even though it pushed it destroyed me, kind of. It was very toxic, so it left a long, heavy, I ain't gonna say residue. What's bigger than residue? A big stain on me, okay? But it pushed me into a better relationship where I actually felt a different kind of love that I've never felt. One of the best loves that I've ever felt, actually, physically. Now, the crazy thing about it is the abusive dude was one of the best loves I ever had mentally. He was a mental stimulator. Like, he was brilliant. And that was part of the plot, the ploy, whatever. But I knew it was purpose in that too, because I didn't have understanding for that. But saying all that to say, the devastating thing pushes you to better and greater. And if I hadn't never went through that, I would have never probably met that person or been in that place where that person was able to stretch me the way that relationship did, whether it was me pushing him pushing me back, whatever, it worked. And it got me out of that, and I'm not in that place where I'm disrespectful. I had a belligerent mouth because that was my comeback. That's what I had to have being in that space. So it taught me like when we talk about new, that was like a whole new like transition, walking on eggshells, being timid, reverting to places. I've never been a timid person my whole life. I've always been very outgoing and upbeat, very timid, I used to flinch. I had a whole bunch of things. I said all that to say not to tell too much about the story, but to say that the traumas, the challenges in life, all of them, not necessarily that brutal, but the challenges in life, even the small ones, man, they put you right in place and in alignment for what that I would call that bridge to the new. It puts you on that bridge. And it's things you gotta learn though. See, that's the whole thing. It's the learning process, because how dare you go to the next thing and you can't even conceptualize it. You don't even have room to understand it or to process it. So you gonna do nothing but what? Mess it up. You gonna fumble it. See, but God loves us enough to not let us be like that. And so that's why it's not that God curses you or punishes you. He's protecting you. He's saving you. He's looking out for you. He's covering you.
It's a big, mindset shift that need to happen. Number one, I appreciate your transparency because I know it's going to help somebody. And for those of you who are listening in live, I ask that if you do have questions related to trauma or newness, please drop them so that in live time you can get that support. But as you were talking, I was thinking about how we love to talk about you always getting tested, right? Mm-hmm. But I say when you're in school, you don't always have a test every day you go to the classroom. You have moments where you're learning the lesson. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we get so wrapped up and God is always trying to test me, woe is me, why is this happening? Mm-hmm. That we don't take the time to sit down and learn the lesson. Mm-hmm. Hence why for me, I know all of my traumas is not for myself but for other people. Mm-hmm. So no, I can talk about the black and brown women, or any person, but mainly black and brown women who play house with cousins. You know, I can talk about, you know, being sexually assaulted. I can talk about miscarriages and, you know, infant loss and death. I can talk about all these things. So everything that people see me as an expert is because I've been through it. So if I didn't take the time to learn the lesson, then I wouldn't be able to be successful in my own right to really heal people. And I think sometimes people don't see that. Now, do I mean that it feels good? Absolutely not. And when we talk about grief and we talk about newness, right? Grief goes through stages. They call it DABDA for short. So you go through denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and you go through acceptance. But the thing is, it's not stages. When we're taught them like stages. It's not. It's like a yo-yo. At any given moment, you can be in any of those phases, and sometimes two of them, but then you feel bad because it's like, well, I'm accepting what they did, but now I'm also angry because why is this a part of my story? And here's the thing, God already know what you're thinking. So the things that we don't want to deal with, the things we don't want to say, there's someone already out there that knows it. So it's like, why not deal with it? Why not get support? And okay, I'm a therapist, great. But I have friends that just come to me and I'm just a friend. You don't get come on my couch. You get, sis, what's up? And you're going to get the real. That's what you get. Like, we have to be able to be more of a support for people and less judgmental. Because everybody's story and path is not going to be like your story and path. And as you're becoming new, you can't expect people to adjust to your new. I think that's one of the biggest mistakes. There's some people that reach new, but they want everybody else to see that they're new. But they haven't given people the opportunity to adjust. That's like when that butterfly finally gets out of that cocoon, the things around that butterfly has to adjust. So we have to be able to give people that opportunity for that newness, and then understanding that you actually deserve newness. There's some of you guys that I know, story was lesson after lesson, test after test. Like, you, every time you think you about to breathe, you don't get a chance to breathe. And those are the people that I like to work with, so that you can understand. I get it. Be mad, cuss somebody out. I don't care. Cuss me out if you want to, and be upset because every morning I'm texting you like, what's going on? But at the end of the day, the only way things are going to shift and change is when your mindset about yourself shift and change. You are what you focus on. That's like if you purchase a car and you've never seen this car in the color that you chose. By the time you get home, you done seen 5 to 10 of the same car. You like, well, what the heck happened with this car? And it's because your life is your focus. So if my focus is on my trauma and I feel like I'm not good enough, new could be happening and you can miss it. That's why they say you got to see it before you see it, or you never will see it. If I don't see that new is what I deserve, new can be right there before my eyes, but I still feel like I'm in jail. And they already told me bail was paid. They already told me you are done. The gate is open, but you're still sitting on that cot because you've told yourself, I'm not worthy of freedom. I'm not worthy of newness. I'm not worthy of nothing else but what I know. And I think some people that's living in that space, I want to normalize that for you because it gets tiring when you try everything and it just doesn't feel like it's going to work out. But I also want to tell you, you got to do something. You got to move. And if you have been in a space of stagnation and you've been trying to do it by yourself, it's nothing wrong with seeking help. Therapy is normal. Coaching is normal. Having a friend that you can actually tell your stuff to is normal. I'm a whole therapist in the street, and I tell people all the time, I don't care what I say. If you take my license, I'll probably be happy because at least then I ain't got to worry about it. So I don't care. If I'm having a rough moment, I'm going to tell you. If I'm having a good moment, I'm going to tell you. If I don't want to be fucked with, I will tell you. Like, I'm going to be honest with you because at the end of the day, it's my life. And I'm going to have to account to it. And sometimes we blame other people. We blame our belief system. We blame our spouses, our significant others. We blame all these people. But the reality is the people that we are blaming, they're living their life. They're living their life, and it's like that snake. The snake will bite you, and you get killed by the venom, but the snake is going on and probably going to bite somebody else. So you worried about the snake, and they don't care about you. But it's you that's sitting here, I'm just going to sit here. I know the doctor is literally 2 doors away, but I'm not going to go over there because I've been bit by a snake, and we want like it's
the
these
victimizer
things.
spirit, that victimizer mentality.
So I'm looking for. I have a letter.
Oh, hold on. Y'all can call in 757-964-9367, 757-964-9367.
So I know we are close to our end here, and we've been talking about newness. We've been talking about a plethora of different things. But as I'm talking to you guys, I know that there's somebody who is so stuck that they can't see that new is where they need to go. Because they're basically saying, well, I hear what you're saying, but if my parents didn't protect me, if my grandparents didn't protect me, if the school ruled me out, if the police always put me in somewhere and they didn't understand, all I needed was food, but you keep arresting me because I'm stealing, like those people, and especially those who experience like victimization by the hands of those who love them. Because a lot of the times they want for someone just to say sorry. So I have a letter to survivors that I wrote, and it literally reads, "Dear survivor, you are more than enough. Your life's experiences do not define who you are, but cultivated your very essence. If you have never received an apology from the person who victimized you, I take the time out to send a heartfelt apology on their behalf, because you deserve to be free from the entrapment of their egregious actions. I apologize for the years of pain you have endured as a result of that moment of stolen innocence you will never get back. I apologize for all the decisions and actions you made that were more detrimental to your well-being or that of others due to trying to find normalcy again. I apologize for the years you spent in bondage trying to figure out what you did to attract such experiences. I apologize for the years of self-love you missed out on because the message you kept hearing was that you did not deserve love. Please know you were only a victim in the moment of abuse. But as I read this to you, my friend, you are a survivor. Just like survivors of major illnesses get celebrated when they go into remission, I celebrate you today because you are no longer a victim. You are the best you there is. You are free. Walk in your freedom." So to that person that felt like they could never be free because whoever didn't come and say, "I'm sorry," that's your apology, and you have to decide to live. Are you going to live, or are you going to stay stagnant? Or are we just going to let you be a walking corpse and then you get buried when you're 70? And I don't want that for anybody.
Yeah. It sucks to just exist. That sucks. I know, dope. I don't even know how to follow up after that. That was really good. So in your newness, I hope that whoever needed to hear that, I hope you really feel that. I really do. I hope you really accept that and find a way to be well with that. Yeah. Because it is all about us, man. The constant in our life is us. And everything we do, we are the constant. So embrace that power. That is a power. That really is a power. If you think about it, you are the constant in everything in your life. Yeah. Maybe that's to the next person or whatever, but everything you are about, touch, in, whatever, you are the constant of that. If we don't like the results, let's change it up. If you like the results, keep mastering it. Just keep pushing, man. Embrace the newness. Shake off the old residue. If you got to deal with it, sit in it and deal with it. This has been a really dope episode. I love all of your information. What else you want to tell the people, girl?
Oh, man. I just want you to know that you're enough. Like, your life is worth living. And there's so many people that struggle with suicidal thoughts silently. So I always tell people at this moment, like, take down my number, 757-609-0694. And if you are having a moment, don't deal with it by yourself.
Don't deal with it by yourself, yes.
Because people are attached to your life. Like, you hold the solution to a problem in this world. So if you don't live out fully, there's going to be a little girl, a little boy, a grandma, somebody who really needs what you have to offer that's going to be without it.
Yeah. That's facts. Y'all heard that? Excuse me, it's a lot of responsibility on your life now. A lot of responsibility on your life. So make sure you know that you're enough. And remember, she said one of my phrases, y'all, life happens for you and not to you. Remember that always. It definitely is, even when you don't understand it. I can attest to that. Living proof about that. Life definitely happens for you and not to you. And I don't, it's so good. I'm just processing the information. Listen, I'm just processing. And when it comes to the new, my last takeaway for the new would be for this episode, I really just appreciate you for coming in and dropping some of your jewels and wisdom with the people. And y'all really reach out to her. Tell the people about what you got going on.
So it's kind of a little list. So what I would say is check out my Instagram, Mylira Transforms. But I can quickly spit it out. So tomorrow, Norfolk Public Schools is having their Equity and Excellence Summer Conference. I will be one of their morning presenters, and I'm going to be talking about the role of self-love and advocacy for our children. How if the parents don't have self-love, they're not going to advocate on behalf of their kids. And if the teacher don't have self-love, they're not going to do that. So if that's something you want to do, it is free. You just go on Norfolk Public Schools website. On the 13th, I am going to be a part of the Be Well back to school event, but it's something special. It's through Vision Driven 757. Not only are we giving school drives, but you know how some people just can't afford therapy. You can't afford a dentist. You can't afford those things. All them people going to be in one space where you're not being charged. Okay. So you'll be able to sit with an actual therapist or a life coach for 20 minutes. You're able to look at a dentist. You're able to get your eyes checked to make sure nothing's going on with your eyes. So we're going to have a lot of different vendors there that's not selling things, but is actually there to provide a service to you. I have the SAS Fest coming up on August the 12th, and that's for survivors of sexual abuse and assault. That's going to be in Hampton. I have a book signing coming up, and that's going to be in Lancaster, Virginia. So if you are in 804, I'm going to be up in that area where we're going to be talking about the waiting room experience. So while you're trying to go for new, there is a moment where you're waiting in the waiting room, waiting to be called back. So we're going to be talking about that. The Naisha Foundation, they're doing a mental health live webinar. I'll be speaking at that. Sales have the 4th Annual Survivor Summit, August 28th. We're going to be talking about infant loss and death. So if that's something you've experienced, it's going to be a group of people that's going to be ministering to your soul. We have the Black Mom Breastfeeding event on August 28th in Portsmouth. I have my scripting, my abundance conference coming up September 17th. I want to get people prepared for quarter 4. It's easy and great to do quarter 1, ready for the new year. But if I can really get your quarter 4, 2022 is not over. So if you want to be able to really become who you're supposed to be, and that's going to be in Portsmouth. And then I have the John Carlos Run for Humanity. I don't know if anybody know who John Carlos is, but he was one of the Olympians that raised his fist in 1955. I'm really cool with his grandson. Shout out to Marcellus. And we're going to be doing that run in Portsmouth as well. Then I have the Refresher Conference in November in South Carolina. And then I'll be in Cancun in May for a women's conference. So I know that was a lot, but you can definitely check that out on Instagram, Mylira Transforms. On Facebook, I'm Mylira Green. Please don't be a creep. I will block you because that's my personal page. But then www.myliratransforms.com. Also have the I'm Enough movement up there, so that if someone is having a hard moment, if they can just read your shirt and it says I'm enough, you can save their life. So I know that was a lot, but that's what I got going on.
Hey, y'all make sure y'all check out all she got going on, because she do got a lot. Y'all better go to her page so y'all can get all the information, baby. And look, I got a little bit going on. I'm going to be at the Phoenix Reborn tomorrow at 12 p.m. over here in Hampton, Virginia. August the 13th, I'm going to be at the West Indies Fest over here in Hampton, Virginia at Mill Point Park. August the 20th, my church is doing a giveaway, a back to school giveaway with refreshments. And that's all I got going on for right now that I can think of. Every day, you know, I'm serving up some meals anywhere around. So, yes, that's it. And anything else you want to say to people?
Man, just keep living, y'all. Newness ain't beautiful all the time.
No,
it's really not. And be okay when newness starts to look like old. It just means that you need a tune-up. Like any car, there's certain miles that you're going to have to go and take it in. You don't want to pay for it, but they got to service it to make sure it stay up to par. So when old starts to seek in, be okay to pivot and do something different and get support. Like therapy don't mean you crazy at all. Coaching don't mean you're crazy. It just means that you know that your purpose is so big that you will try someone else helping you so that you won't die with your purpose still in you.
Facts. That's all facts. I thank y'all so much. I thank you so much for joining us tonight.
My pleasure.
You are such a gem. You are more than enough, sweetheart. Yes, you are. Thank you guys for tuning in. Y'all could have been anywhere in the world, but y'all chose to be here with your girl T, and you know that means so very much to me. I hope that this Wednesday has met y'all well, and I hope y'all have got a whole bunch in your cup today. You heard me. I hope you've been refreshed and refilled. All right, y'all stay blessed. Y'all stay up, and y'all stay sucker free. Stay sucker free. Love y'all. Peace.
Powered by Virginia Radio.